Hey guys, this is Rupesh from Beebom.com and the Poco F1 arrived. Hey guys, this is Rupesh from Beebom.com and the Poco F1 arrived recently. Arey yaar. And the Poco F1 arrived. And the Poco X2, Poco X2. The Poco X2 arrived recently and I've been using this phone as my daily driver for the last few days, and well, this is our Poco X2 review where I'll be answering the big question: should you buy the brand new Poco X2? Now I will be answering this question at the end along with other questions that we got in our first impressions video, so yeah, watch the video till the end. Now let's get started. So starting off with the review, if you have seen our first impressions video, you'd know that I wasn't particularly impressed with the Poco X2's design. And well, I'm still not, but I can live with this for sure. Yes, this phone is a little big and it's also pretty hefty when compared to the likes of the Realme X2, and this is also one of the most slipperiest phone I've ever used. But I wouldn't say that I have disliked using this phone. I think it's fine. I mean, to be honest, I think the Redmi Note 8 Pro or the Realme X2 look better, but yeah, this design isn't really a deal breaker. Now, one unique thing about this design is the side-mounted fingerprint scanner. Something that's pretty rare, but you know what? I like it on the Poco X2. My thumb naturally lands on the scanner and it's fast, so no problems at all. It's pretty seamless. Another thing I like on the Poco X2 is this display. Obviously, the big highlight of the Poco X2, the 120Hz IPS LCD display. Now, if I tell you frankly, I would have preferred AMOLED instead of the IPS LCD, but you know what? This is a good display. It's as good as IPS LCDs get in this price range. It's decently bright outdoors, it's sharp, and there's the punch hole which adds to the whole bezel-less experience. I mean, sure, the punch holes here aren't as seamless as say on the Galaxy phones with AMOLED, but it looks fine. The slight bleeding problem I told you about is not a problem really. Coming back to the display, it is smooth as you'd expect. MIUI 11 has obviously been optimized for the 120Hz display, so the experience is definitely nice. Every time I used the Poco X2's display, it had this really nice smoothness about it while I was scrolling or opening apps. See, the higher refresh rate is nice, it's definitely nice, but it's not something that phones like the Poco X2 are truly taking full potential of. I mean, some of the apps and games are logged at 60Hz, and there were times when I felt a little bit of a stutter in animations when I was switching between say a MIUI app or a third-party app. Plus there's the fact that not a lot of games support this high refresh rate. I mean, it's clear that we are not really utilizing the 120Hz display to the max. I did play Alto's Odyssey and Shadowgun Legends on the phone, games that have 120Hz support, and the experience was great. But yeah, it would have been way better had say games like PUBG Mobile or COD had support for 120Hz displays. Plus the 120Hz refresh rate drains the battery a lot faster. Now in our first impressions video, I did say that I'll be putting the 120Hz IPS LCD versus 60Hz AMOLED to test, and well, I did. I played a YouTube video at 1080p on max brightness for an hour on the Poco X2, which is set to 120Hz, and the Realme X2, and the battery drain was higher on the Poco. The Poco X2 lost 16% of the battery while the Realme X2 lost just 8%. So the Poco X2 at 120Hz lost double the battery. Also, while I was doing this test, I noticed how colors looked a lot better in the Realme X2 display. Yeah, just AMOLED things. Anyway, I also played PUBG Mobile at HD high graphics settings for an hour on both these phones, and again the Poco X2 was set to 120Hz, and well, again the battery drain was higher on the Poco X2. The Poco X2 lost 21% battery while the Realme X2 lost 13%, so it's a big difference. And again, the AMOLED display on the Realme X2 looked a lot better. So here's my preference when it comes to displays: 120Hz AMOLED, 60Hz AMOLED, 120Hz IPS LCD, and then 60Hz IPS LCD. I hope that makes sense. Moving on to the speaker output, the Poco X2 single speaker is fairly loud and the quality is pretty good too. There was a little bit of a distortion at maximum volume, but that's what you get on most phones in this price range, so I'd say it's good enough. Anyway, another thing I've been extensively testing on the Poco X2 are its quad cameras. It's a usual camera setup, but the highlight has to be the new Sony IMX686 64 megapixel sensor. So I've been taking a lot of photos from the Poco X2, and one thing's for sure: the 64 megapixel Sony sensor captures some impressive shots in good lighting. There are two major points to note here: the great details and the good color accuracy. Just look at this picture, it's impressive. And if you zoom in, you can see all the details very well preserved. I mean, the dynamic range in some photos could have been better, like say in this photo, but other than that, the photos in good light are really good. In low light, things are slightly less impressive. I mean, most photos are bright and fairly sharp, and I really appreciate that. But in some photos, you can see a little grain in the darker parts, which is kind of a bummer. Now, I did say in our first impressions video that I will be comparing the Sony 64 megapixel sensor on the Poco X2 versus the Samsung 64 megapixel sensor on the Realme X2. And well, let's check things out. So here's a nice shot from both the X2s, and I like the Poco X2 photo here. You can see that the Poco X2 photo has better contrast, yeah, and it just looks better. Also the details, if you just zoom in here, you can see the difference, right? Here's another photo, and this time both the phones have taken very similar shots when it comes to the colors and the overall exposure. But if we zoom in on this text, you can see that the Poco X2 shot is sharper and more clearer. In low light, both the phones are very close and you can see these shots are very similar. However, in some shots like this one, the Poco X2 photo is just a tad bit sharper. It's not a big difference, but yeah. Overall, I'd say the Poco X2 64 megapixel sensor is definitely better, especially in daytime, with the Poco X2 trumps the Realme X2 when it comes to details and contrast. Comparisons aside, when it comes to the ultra wide angle lens, the photos do look cool with the distortion correction on point, and the photos are sharp all across. The details aren't as good obviously, and some photos don't have the same nice colors as the main camera, but I'd say it's decent enough. Anyway, I also like the portrait mode of the Poco X2. In most portrait mode shots I took, the edge detection might not be perfect, especially around the hair, but other than that it was really good, and the face smoothing that's been a problem in Xiaomi phones is less prominent, so I like it. Since I am talking about the portrait mode, I also took portrait mode selfies from the phone because I wanted to see if the depth sensor on the front does well, and turns out it does fairly well. The portrait selfies have decently accurate edge detection and the face details are intact too. So yeah, I like the portrait mode on the Poco X2. What I don't like much is the macro lens, which is, I'd say, fine. I mean, I don't like the macro lens in most phones. So I wasn't really expecting anything from the Poco X2, so I guess it's fine, but not something I'll ever use. Moving on to videos, the 4K 30fps videos from the Poco X2 look good. I mean, you can see here that the video is sharp and fairly detailed, and the exposure adjustment is pretty quick too. So yeah, it's nice. The colors are a bit warm and there's no OIS, so stability is only decent-ish, but overall it's good enough. Now the Poco X2 does not have a super stable mode like the Realme X2, but it has this new vlog video mode, which is a little gimmicky, but a lot of fun. So this mode has like 8 presets with cool transitions and music to choose from, and using these you can make videos like this one. Check it out. So overall, the 64 megapixel Sony sensor on the Poco X2 is really great. I mean, like any other budget smartphone, the low light performance is just decent, but the good light performance is just really great, and it clearly beats the 64 megapixel Samsung sensor on the Realme X2. Plus, all of the other cameras on the Poco X2 work fine, so overall the cameras here are truly a winner. Another area where the Poco X2 is the winner is the performance. I mean, I've used Snapdragon 730G phones in the past and they've all performed really well. So I was expecting the Poco X2 to do well in day-to-day usage, and do well it does. I have been using this phone extensively and I can't really say I have any problems with this performance. Now I obviously talked about the animation stutter in 120Hz at times, but that's not really lag, and overall I'd rate the performance on the Poco X2 very good. Even on the gaming front, the Poco X2 handles all of the popular games without any issues. I've played a lot of PUBG Mobile on this phone, and let me tell you, there's not been a hint of lag or stutter. Not just PUBG Mobile, I've also played some casual games on the phone, and yeah, the gameplay is really smooth. Moving on the software front, there's MIUI 11 based on Android 10, and the MIUI 11 update is something I like, especially combined with the Poco launcher, but there are a few problems. First of all, these notifications are just annoying. I have disabled them, but I just hate seeing them. Plus, there's the bloatware. The Poco X2 has Facebook, Ghana, Hello, Amazon Daily Hunt, and a bunch of these games pre-installed. Yeah, it's annoying. I remember when the Poco F1 arrived, it only had Facebook and some Office apps pre-installed. So yeah, this is a little frustrating. But having said that, I haven't encountered any ads so far on the Poco X2, which is definitely good news. Lastly, there's the battery, the big 4500 mAh battery, which I think is really good. I mean, when I started using this phone, my primary doubt around the battery was, will the phone last a day with the screen set to 120Hz? And you know what? It does. The Poco X2 just about managed to last me a day with the screen set to 120Hz, and I got a screen on time of 5.5 hours, which I think is really good. The battery performs even better when the screen is set to 60Hz, and I got a screen on time of 7 hours, which is just amazing. When it comes to charging, the 27-watt charger that comes in the box with the Poco X2 is really fast. It charges the Poco X2 from 10 to 50% in just 24 minutes, and takes only 54 minutes to charge this phone from 10 to 100%. I mean, this is a 4500 mAh battery we're talking about, so this is some really fast charging speed. In comparison, the Realme X2 with a 4000 mAh battery takes 72 minutes to go from 10 to 100% with its 30 watt VOOC charger. So like we said in one of our videos, the watts don't matter, it's the charging technology that matters. Apart from that, a lot of you guys wanted to know if the Poco X2 supports voice over Wi-Fi, and well, it does support voice over Wi-Fi out of the box. Well, it's time now for the verdict. Should you buy the Poco X2? Well, first let me get it out of the way that the Poco X2 is not an unbeatable smartphone like the Poco F1. I mean, it definitely does not live up to the legacy of the Poco F1, what with this being just a Redmi K30 rebranded. Anyway, if you move past that, which I did, this is great value for money. See, the rupees 15,999 is just a great price tag for a phone that has a high refresh rate display, brings great performance, very good cameras and fantastic battery life. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously. It's definitely AMOLED for me when it comes to 120Hz LCD or 60Hz AMOLED. And the phone is a little big and bulky, but if you're okay with all of that, the Poco X2 is a phone you should definitely buy. But if you're not okay with all of that, the higher priced Realme X2 is still a good choice with AMOLED and a more sleeker design. Well, that was our review of the Poco X2, but what do you think of this new smartphone? Tell us in the comment section below. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure to share it with your friends who are confused between the Poco X2 and the Realme X2. Lastly, subscribe to our channel for more amazing tech videos. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.